we're gonna move on to our next topic because we're gonna keep this ship going. And next,
Thanks,
I want
Chris,
to
for
talk
keeping it PG.
keeping it PG. Well, we don't always keep it PG.
I know, it's
We're gonna
just
talk
a very
about Doom
funny
Patrol.
comments.
What do you say? I didn't see it.
He said, "Fuck him and that Santa shit."
Oh, yeah. Some people love it. Some people hate it. There you go. Santa Claus, Disney Plus, streaming now. Anyways, we're talking about Doom Patrol now. So there's kind of a little talk about Doom Patrol. Will it move forward, or will this be the last of the whole show with season 5? Now, we know Warner Brothers has been canceling a lot of shows due to the whole transition with the WB and the DC stuff and James Gunn, as we've talked about in the program. But the showrunner, Jeremy Carver, even said that as long as there's a good story going forward, then they want to keep going with the show. But I don't know, because Diane Guerrero, who plays Jane, Crazy Jane in the show, she actually reshared a video. And this is, again, one of those things that we see on Instagram and social media and all that. Someone shares something in comments and, oh, it's got to be the truth. Well, we don't know this for sure, but Crazy Jane Diane took a montage, a video montage, retweeted it, and said, "Goodbye, my beloved." And it was a whole thing with a montage of her character, Crazy Jane. So does that mean that the show's done? Does she have some inside information? I mean, we've only had like half of season 4 that's come out. The other half will be coming out at some time. We don't know when. They haven't really released a date for that. So who knows when that's happening? They said later this year. So I don't know if that tweet means the show's done or not, but I will tell you this, watching season 4 4A, I feel like it's kind of going downhill this season. I really love the show most of the time, and this, I'm like, what's happening? Where are we going with this? And part of me is like, unless James Gunn steps in and makes this next season better, I think it's done. I want to start with Lexi here. So Lexi, you told me you watched the show. What do you think about season 4A? And do you think there's any kind of truth to this, that the show might be done after this season?
Well, Doom Patrol is an interesting show in that it started the Renaissance in a lot of ways. This was where Brendan Fraser kind of came back to television and whatever, and it was a great moment, and he's great in the show, and I love watching him play the NASCAR guy and all that kind of stuff. I don't like the Jane character at all. I can't stand her. I think she's one of the weakest links in the show, and they've built a lot around her. I love the actress, the old actress turns into the Blob and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of great characters in this show that are very poorly utilized, and there's a lot of really good things going on. Like, I love Danny, the city that was now an ambulance, and like, I mean, if you're familiar with the Doom Patrol comics, which I'm a big DC fan, so I follow DC content really, really closely, and Doom Patrol is an interesting comic, and they've done some stuff in this show that isn't very Doom Patrol, like adding Cyborg into the mix. And I'm not a fan of the character Cyborg, but the show has done an amazing job with this Cyborg. This is the best Cyborg in the DC universe, hands down. The one in the film is garbage. This one has it. This is exactly what I want and expect from a Cyborg, and I'm so on board for it. But like, they needed Beast Boy. Like, Beast Boy is, if they're gonna bring a Teen Titans member in, they may as well bring in the one. I mean, he literally wears a Doom Patrol uniform. That's his uniform. So I don't know why he's not on the show. And so they made a lot of strange choices. They made a lot of strange directional choices and all that kind of stuff. I mean, soundtrack done by Clint Mansell, beautifully shot.
Who's amazing.
Costuming, really great starts and ends to seasons, really weak middles. Every season to me from the get-go has had a weak middle. And there's a point in the show where it always starts kind of dragging a little bit, but then it always comes back around and pulls you back into it. So I'm always like here for it. I'm like, oh, new season, I'm going to be down for. I'm going to watch it, and I'm always going to give it, some time. And the show's had a lot of struggles. I mean, it started out on DC's streaming service that was its own solo thing. Then it went to HBO, and now HBO is going through its purge, and so it's sitting in that like will they won't they area, and it's not exactly fair to it. I think that maybe if you could finish this season, because I agree with you. So far, the start of season 4, weak. But there's plenty there that they're going into that I feel like you could push and develop into something really interesting. But I feel like the show's hyper-focus is on the weaker points. And the fact that it's so hyper-focused on the weaker points, that eventually the show is going to collapse in on itself in a lot of ways. And if you could find a way to balance... I'd like to see more time with the bandage guy. I can't think of the character's name, but they don't do enough with him, and when they do stuff with him, it's not
Larry.
Negative
enough.
Man or Larry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Larry, that's it. He's great. He's a great character, but he's poorly utilized. Throughout the entire series from start to finish, he's been poorly utilized. So it's just like, but then they've done a wonderful job growing Rita. Like Rita's growth
Rita's
in that show
amazing.
is
She's one of the best parts of
characters
it.
in it, and Clint
Yeah.
has wonderful, beautiful growth as a character. Clint's story is one of the most interesting stories in the entire show. I was saying, I could watch an entire show just about Clint.
I could
Like,
too.
I
Yeah,
would
Brendan
like to see
Fraser's
more time
awesome.
with him in the NASCAR moments. I want to see more time with him trying to develop his family dynamics, struggling with his body. Like, there's so much more interesting there. And even the character Jane, as much as I don't like her, I feel like her story's too complicated to be a character in a show with 5 other really interesting characters because she has 13 people living in her. So she's got to like
It's a lot. It's a lot to
constantly go through
balance.
all these different characters and all these different character dynamics, and I'm like, she's a whole show in and of herself. So why, if you really wanted to, you could push the dynamics of this, and but it's just not popular enough. It's not like it's The Walking Dead over here where we're gonna get like 16 spin-offs of it or something like that.
And that's the biggest thing about this, though, Lexi. Like, I feel like all the characters, and Sabrina, if I've talked about this before, like, characters are so great, and the actors that portray them are amazing. And that's the problem. I feel like the storyline's going downhill. I feel like they're not writing the best storyline for these characters. The actors are giving it their all. I love all of them, like especially like Rita. Like you were saying, Rita's amazing. I love that Brendan Fraser actually gives credit to the guy who's in the robot suit, the robot man. Yeah, like the fact that he's giving the other actor credit. The guy's name's why am I thinking about it? Riley Shanahan. Yeah. So he's giving Riley props, which is great because a lot of people don't do that. You know, they do the voiceover, and that's all me. Look at the Mandalorian. You have that problem with Disney we talked about before, not giving props to the Mandalorian guys.
Being a guy in a suit's really hard.
It's tough.
It's one of those things where a lot of times they go, Brendan Fraser is, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm a voice. I don't wear this. And the
which
guy
is
who's
amazing
on
he does that.
screen is emoting through the suit. So you're physically emoting through a suit that has no physical emotional abilities. So the fact that they're able to portray so many emotions through Clint between Brendan Fraser's vocal performance and the actor who's in the suit, they absolutely both deserve credit. And everybody should be doing that when they work with people in suits and stuff like that.
They 100% should. They should do it more and more and more. And the fact they don't is very unfortunate. It's like those people are actors too. They're portraying a lot with the character physically that the other actors not. Sabrina, what do you think? Do you think that there'll be another season of Doom Patrol, or do you think that that these characters are great, but it's just not going to happen with James Gunn under the new guard?
I hope there is another season. I agree with you that this season is not the best. And it's weird that they're taking a break right now. Like, they're definitely not putting their best foot forward, and then they're taking a break. And I agree with Lexi in that the back end there's a lot of interesting things they can do with what they've laid out. But it's like to end, like, take this break when no one knows when they're coming back even.
Can we just stop doing that in all of television? Like,
I agree.
It's
breaks.
So stupid.
It's like you gotta wait like years for the second half of a season or something like that. It's like, what happened to just putting a season out? Right.
Like, isn't
so
that
when
what
you
a
break it
season is?
up, isn't that the end of that season and that the next one is another season? But they're like, no, it's like it's half of this and half of that, and it's like, oh my god, stop. It makes it hard to watch TV in this modern age, like by having them break it up so much and then having years between seasons, whereas
we want it now.
Yeah. Well, Bob's Burgers is a good example of like old school versus the new school, where every year you get a new season. So you always get 25 episodes a season. You follow that old school format. That's what you're expecting. So when you have a new show come along and it's like, oh, I love this show, and then you think the show's canceled, and then 2 years later you're like, hey, we're getting a new season of Venture Brothers, and you're just like, oh, okay, I thought that show was canceled or done. Like,
gone a long time ago.
Still working on it, yeah.
South Park's the same way. We were talking about South Park on here. It just keeps coming back, but they're good for like years now because of that multi-million-dollar deal. But it's like there's no consistency. Yeah, there's no consistency though when they're coming out and what's happening because they're doing so much, those guys, and on all these different networks. And at least you have consistency in some of Bob's Burgers. But this, like, even like the split up, I hate the split up stuff. I think it's dumb. But also I will say that maybe they're splitting it up too because they might be changing some stuff. Maybe they're doing some reshoots to make it so that they can have a better ending if this is going to be it before they announce it's done. That could be a possibility. Or it's just them being assholes like they like to be, and they're making us wait because we don't have commercials. We don't have a normal, television experience.
the whole industry is like this. It's not just the film industry, the game industry, all this stuff. You're going to put out an unfinished product and then go, here's part of it. Don't worry, we'll patch it later. And it's like, don't put it out until you're confident and know that it's ready, so that we can sit down and we can be given a whole entire experience in one go without it having it broken up or broken in the experience itself. It's like, what's the point of putting out broken content? It's all a cash grab at that point. And when you don't, I mean, there is a cash grab extent to viewership on the streaming service and stuff, but it's not even the same as the ratings system in the old television days. So it's like, who are you breaking these up for? Like, other than just, I don't know, like to keep people on your streaming service, to keep people paying for your streaming service? Is that like the thought process behind it ever? Because I have a lot more respect for a streaming service that can give me a finished season than I do someone who keeps breaking things up.
But look at how they look at it. You're right. It's a business model. They go, well, if we, separate it, then people won't cancel. And if they don't know when it's coming back, maybe they'll just let it slip through the cracks for a while. And then when it comes back, that's right, Doom Patrol. That's great. I'll watch the end of it now. And then if you keep splitting it up, the content lasts longer. And the people do cancel. That's a thing. People do cancel when shows are done. So keep them attached, keep them going. How about you just bring out more content and make the content all great, so I don't want to cancel my subscription? How about that, Netflix? So I'm just saying that's a problem that just keeps happening as it is. And hopefully Doom Patrol, a great show like this, gets a chance to keep thriving. I really hope that James Gunn comes in and helps them a little bit with their storylines and helps guide them in a direction and doesn't just cancel it, because I do think that the cast is great.
This seems like something James Gunn would make. Like, this seems like, if they didn't make the show, I feel like James Gunn would be sitting around going, well, I'm going to make that movie. Because
I'm going to make that happen.
Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad is very in the vein of Doom Patrol, just an obscure, weird group of anti-hero types doing unusual things that are not really connected to what the typical DC 5 are doing, the world-saving stuff.
Yeah. And I hope that James Gunn does then. I mean, we have a comment here, someone saying, Justin saying that he's working on a show that's been canceled mid-season and they had to rewrite and create a series finale. And that happens all the time, too. I worked on the show Wicked City. We were supposed to do 11 episodes. I've said this before. We were at episode 8, and they said, we're not getting shut down. You've seen the rumors online. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The next day, they came back and said, okay, we're canceled. We're going to wrap it up in 3 days. And they redid some rewriting, and they finished the series. It happens. So this might happen with Doom Patrol. I hope not. Sabrina, you don't think that's going to happen, do you? Think that Doom Patrol will keep going? What do you think? What's your final verdict? I can't hear you. Live, everybody. I can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that they know it's canceled right now, honestly. I feel like that it would have leaked in some way, shape, or form, as instead of just this one post. Also in the storyline, Jane lost her longevity, and also Lexi, I strongly disagree with you. She is my favorite character on the show. I love her. I love her potty mouth. I love her piss poor attitude, and I love that she wants to kick the shit out of everybody. She is my hero, and I love her. I hate to disagree with you again, but I hate Cyborg. He is the weakest link in my opinion in that show. He is like, and now that he doesn't have his tech, he is even more the weakest link. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, why are you even here? Now he's sashaying around in a imaginary universe with his like best friend from when he was in college. Like, just stop, please. I can't. It's too much.
But Jane, I feel like. Show.
I mean, I would not watch that if I'm being honest. But I think Jane and Cliff are the two best parts, and I love them. I mean, I love Larry too, and I love Rita, but I feel like Jane and Cliff are so crass and fuck it and let's do this. And I feel like they drive the show for me. And I was really upset when Niles died, because although he turned out to be a prick, I really, really enjoyed him on the show. So, I don't know. It's a lot of things has happened, but for it to be on its 4th season and to watch episodes like that have asses with teeth like running through and to actually be like, I want to watch another episode of this, like insane shit, that means that they did a good job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel I hope they're not done. Let's put it that way. I hope they're not done.
Well, we'll see what happens with Doom Patrol again. Like we've said, James Gunn's in control. Maybe it'll change. Maybe they'll just rework it, or maybe this is it. And there's some truth to her tweet out there being like, "Goodbye, my beloved." Who knows? We'll find out as it continues. Of course, we'll wait until the second half of season 4 comes out. Then we'll probably know a little bit more about where they're going into season 5. But until they announce something with that, we have no idea. Leave some comments. Let us know. We're gonna move on to our next subject.